anything about him until draft night?
I saw.
I answer the question.
Yes, there was one thing that I knew. I saw one thing. I read up on him, and there was one thing that I knew.
What, that he had holding penalties?
No,
or that he played at Tulsa? Okay. Where did you read that he sucked?
Wait, didn't you tell me that?
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upside alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there. There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach. That
is the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Cautiously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 123 of Birds vs. Boys. This is episode 2 or episode 3, I can't remember, of season 3. Aidan, we actually have real football players doing real football things on real football fields. And tonight, we have actual football teams playing actual football against each other with actual football players who will not actually be playing football this season in the Hall of Fame game. How are you?
Yeah, that wasn't hard to follow at all.
Actually, it wasn't.
You're right. They put the helmets on. They tackled each other, all that good stuff. We're inching closer. It's kind of the same as how I felt last week, where you don't want to rush summer, but at the same time, it's like, okay, it's 98 degrees. I was sweating when I got hit with heat when I walked out of my office today. I was just like, you know what?
Done.
I want a crisp fall air, and I want grown men to obliterate each other wearing pads. That's about where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. I'm at the point where, like, all day, whether it's in the car or when I'm home, I just have NFL Network on with the training camp live in the background. They're just bumping from every training camp. I don't care what training camp they're at.
Yeah.
It's the perfect just behind the scenes thing to have on.
But we'll get into if you feel this way, but I also do that. And I also obviously follow all the Eagles training camp headlines. So now I'm kind of at a point where it's so over-analyzed, every single thing, especially Eagles training camp. We kind of know how things go in this city. Every single training camp throw is scrutinized and analyzed. So I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, all right, I can't do any more of guys in the best shape of their life in camp. Tracking training camp passes. Like, I need the real thing. Like, this was fun for a week when we were like, oh, it's so great to be back together. I am ready to actually be back.
And I put the volume all the way down and I mute it and I just have it on in the background watching guys run around in pads.
There you go.
I don't need to hear
just that feel, that sense. But yeah, I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, all right, I need the real thing. This training camp thing was fun for a week. So
on this podcast, Birds vs. Boys, Kmess and Aidan, if it's your first time, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We are a full NFL podcast, if you couldn't tell already. Just have the flair of the Birds vs. Boys. If you are a repeat listener, welcome back. Thank you very much. If it is your first time, we don't talk about Deshaun Watson on this podcast, but I feel like we just need to mention maybe something about Deshaun Watson on this podcast, even though we're not going to talk about Deshaun Watson because we don't talk about Deshaun Watson. But, I mean, now the NFL is opening up the door that he's going to play this entire season.
I think that'd be hard to foresee, but you're right, just because he can appeal. And
they've already read that they're planning to take it to court. His people in the NFLPA.
You gotta have
week 1, just like Ezekiel Elliott did years ago. It's a shit show.
Oh my goodness. We don't talk about Deshaun Watson, but I really, really wish we could actually just stop talking about Deshaun Watson. Like, it's so annoying. Like, isn't it the worst? Like, he's probably, odds are that he's a terrible human being. Odds are the NFL, who usually screws up suspensions, screwed it up. And odds are he'll probably be playing week 1 for the Cleveland Browns. And odds are week 1, the Cleveland Browns will have something go wrong and they will suck this season. That's like always how things go.
But so I get it. But if I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm just saying whatever. Because they structured his contract knowing this was coming, and he has a $1 million is his salary this year. So if he gets suspended, he loses out on $1 million. If he gets suspended next year, if he fights this and then gets suspended next year, he loses whatever, $48 million. Take your lumps, move on.
Yeah, I think you're right from the financial standpoint. Also morally from the standpoint. It's like
Vince he has morals?
Oh, clearly not. But you would just think like if you got away with what you got away with, allegedly, but probably, you'd be like, okay, 6 games, not that bad. And then Vince's sister got a speeding ticket today. Sometimes when you get speeding tickets, the police officers say it's like a disobedience of traffic laws instead of speeding because it's not as bad and doesn't put points on your license and you get less of a fine. Like maybe if I was going 45 over the speed limit like Deshaun Watson was in this case, I'd be like, oh, I'm glad I just got a disobedience of traffic laws ticket instead of a speeding ticket. You'd think that's where he'd want to be at. Who
knows? But we don't talk about Deshaun Watson here, so we will move on from not talking about Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So there's not a ton happening around the NFL. Was there anything really that you want to talk about? I mean, we have the Hall of Fame game, like we said. There's not really going to be anything. I'm kind of, the line's set at 30, and you immediately think like if you're that much of a degenerate that you're betting the NFL Hall of Fame game, you would go with the under. But at the same time, it's Doug Peterson and what's his name with the Raiders now? Oh my God,
Derek Carr?
No, who's the coach from the Patriots?
Oh,
McDaniels. So 2 offensive guys. They might try to want to light it up a little bit. So might want to take the over in that one. I don't know.
All right, listen, you're right. Like if you're betting over and under the Hall of Fame game, you got to face yourself. Listen, if you're betting on the Hall of Fame game, that's walking into the bar and taking a tequila shot first. You got to order a Miller Lite and work your way up to tequila shots.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you though, there is a game on the board week 1 that I already like.
Oh wait, don't tell me. Just are you going to remember it by then though?
Well, the line might change. I'm just saying.
Actually, okay, say it now, and then Vince mark this, and we'll see if he remembers right before the season.
Yep. Jacksonville plus 3.5 right now at Washington. Love it.
No, listen, this is what's going to happen. Carson Wentz was exiled from Indianapolis.
Threw 7 interceptions and 6 passes.
Their alcoholic owner doesn't know football. And they lost to Jacksonville, even though they always lose at Jacksonville every year since 2014. So what's going to happen is Wentz is going to beat them week 1, and then I'm going to say, aha, look, it was the Colts.
Yeah. Okay, he's going to beat them by 3.
Oh, I will take it. I will take it.
All right, let's get into to Birds vs. Boys, because if you could tell, there's not much going on around the league. Camps are open. We're talking betting the NFL preseason games and week 1 bets. That
Jaguars. Oh man, I don't know if betting the Jaguars week 1 is a lot better than betting the Hall of Fame game, especially against the Commanders. It's like the battle of the fan bases who kind of wish football season doesn't start.
Yep, true. Oh God, I don't know. Travis Etienne.
He's one of those guys in the 14th round of the fantasy draft you're going to take, and then in week 14 of the season you're going to be like, that was the smartest thing I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
If only I wouldn't have taken Dalvin Cook or somebody in the first round who burns out or flames out.
Especially if it's a PPR league.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
All right, so let's jump into Eagles and Cowboys training camp. There's a lot going on in Oxnard, California for the Cowboys training camp. Haven't really been following the Eagles training camp as closely, so I would love for you to fill me in a little bit. So you want me to go first? You want you to go first? We can hit it back and forth like a tennis match like we did last week.
You should go first because you have actual pressing storylines. I feel like Eagles camp, like I said, it's been so overanalyzed, but it's kind of been the same like every day. You have like legitimate concerns, questions, things, headlines,
yes,
as we like to call it in the business as a serious media member.
The business. All right, so first thing I'm gonna mention. Obviously, we're recording this on Wednesday night. You're probably listening to it on Thursday or Friday.
Should be.
The Dallas Cowboys.
If you're subscribed,
hit that, smash that subscribe button on YouTube so you can see our smiling faces. As you can see, I'm back in the COVID cave. Everybody, no, I don't have COVID, but I was a close contact, so my wife is not here with the child again. So I have the run of the house, so I'm recording from bed. It's phenomenal.
I'm also recording from bed. This is hilarious. See, week 2, and we're already back in bedrooms instead of studios.
Well, if Vince opened up that school. All right, so Dallas Cowboys have jumped back into the free agent market, and they've signed linebacker Anthony Barr to a 1-year deal worth $2 million, which could reach $3 million with incentives. It is a team-friendly deal. The 4-time Pro Bowl linebacker is going to bring linebacker depth to a team that needs it. Right now, they have Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, who has been said to have a phenomenal camp so far. Jabril Cox, who is flashing, but he's also coming off a surgically repaired knee. And then they have Luke Gifford. So they needed some linebacker depth. They also needed some help with the pass rush, right? They obviously have DeMarcus Lawrence on one side. The other side, they have Dorrance Armstrong. What are we going to get from Dorrance Armstrong? We don't really know. Micah Parsons also rushes. I feel like this addition is also going to help Micah Parsons big time. It's going to be able to have him be all over the field because Anthony Barr could be rushing. Well, Micah's playing linebacker. It'll free Micah to rush. They're just going to allow him to be a weapon, I feel like, with Anthony Barr on the field.
Yeah, speaking of weapon, he should play running back. But you're right. So I think it's one of those training camp signings that are pretty valuable because it's later in the year and you're doing these low risk, high reward type of plays where you're like, oh, we can get some value and burn out of this guy, even a veteran who has been around the block a few times. But I think you're right. It's just one of those like smart free agent signings because you're like, why not?
Yep.
We have the money.
$2 million. I mean, yes, he's injury prone. You're probably going to get 8 to 12 games out of him, maybe. But beat him into the ground. Get what you can get out of him. It's a 1-year deal, and then it's kind of like when they signed Keanu Neal last year. So
and he's also there, like if Leighton Vander Esch gets hurt, which obviously that happens all the time, or if Anthony Barr gets hurt, then you have Leighton Vander Esch, and literally vice versa.
Yep. So it's a great depth signing, which I love, and he's been linked to the Cowboys all offseason, and it seemed that the price came down to where Dallas was comfortable enough, and apparently Anthony Barr is walking away from more money other places because he wants to play in that Dan Quinn scheme, which I'm excited about. That makes me happy when a player, especially a veteran, is going to take less money to come to your team. So the other obvious pressing issue right now is the wide receiver room, right? We've talked about this, Aidan. Michael Gallup's already hurt. He's going to be out. He's on PUP. He's already come out and said, I will not play week 1 against the Buccaneers. I think we kind of already knew that. I don't foresee him being back the first 4 weeks of the season. My estimation, he tore his ACL week 17. So I just don't see that. Mm-mm. Then they signed James Washington. He fractures his foot in camp, out 6 to 10 weeks. He was supposed to be your number 2 when Gallup was out, moved to your number 3 when Gallup was in. Now he's out. So now we have CeeDee Lamb, who is the only person on the entire roster at the wide receiver position who has a touchdown catch in the NFL. Number 2 right now would be Jalen Tolbert, the rookie from South Alabama that they took in the 3rd round this year that everybody is saying is flashing in camp, looks very well. But then after that, where do the Cowboys go, right? They have TJ Vasher. They have Noah Brown, who's been there forever. They have Semi Fehoko. And then, Aidan, there's a name here that he's been running with the ones, I'm hearing a lot, and Dennis Houston. He is a rookie free agent signing from Western Illinois. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. Apparently, he's been one of the most steady receivers at camp. Not flashy catches like TJ Vasher's been doing because Vasher's a big dude, as well as Noah Brown, who, I mean, we saw what happens when Noah Brown's a number 2 or number 3 last year. It doesn't go well, even though he's having a great camp. So
who isn't?
Everybody's having the best camp of their life.
Best shape, best camp.
So I honestly don't know what they're going to do here. Jerry Jones came out and said that they are not in a rush to sign a veteran, whether it be free agent or a trade.
Clearly.
And they want to, give these young guys some play, which I'm okay with, but I think something needs to happen. I think there needs to be a trade or a signing.
Firstly, of course, me and you were on record both last week as being like, we love James Washington. We said it at the signing. We said it last week when training camp started, and then, of course, he gets hurt. That's such a classic. Like, things are going too well.
Yep.
If your favorite character is beloved by everybody in a TV show or a movie, guess what is going to happen to that said character? Sorry, James Washington, we just did that to you by accident.
Yep.
That happened. I need Odell to sign with the Rams because as long as he's out there as a free agent, there's the lingering fear in my heart and brain that he could end up in Dallas, and I just need that to end.
See, and I would absolutely love Odell signing, but I don't think that's going to happen for a multitude of reasons. But number one reason is that does not help right now. That does not help while Gallup's out. He tore his ACL in the Super Bowl. He's not going to be back till November.
Yeah, but James Washington is missing the entire season, correct?
Yeah, 6 to 10 weeks.
So
yes, it does. But that almost means they need to sign 2 then if they sign Odell.
I just think it's like a depth play where you're like, all right,
I'm all over it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It is kind of crazy that he has not signed anywhere yet, especially with the Rams. Like, they kind of know the deal.
I think that I don't know. That either means he's going back to the Rams. I've heard the Bills too.
That'd be great.
They're sprinkled in there. Can you imagine him and Stephon? Oh my
goodness. The Packers. This is a good TikTok idea. By the way, we're breaking out our first power rankings of the year. Coming up this TikTok tonight.
So I've kind of thrown a couple names out there. I look at the free agent market and wide receiver, and it's like, every guy has warts, right? They're either an injury guy or they're old. Like, are we going to dig out Emmanuel Sanders? He's 75 years old. I mean, Alan Hearns is on that list. I don't think he's played since he snapped his leg in half playing for Dallas. Cole Beasley, sure, I would love it. He would be Dak's best friend, but they don't want a slot guy. They want somebody who can play. This offense wants receivers that can play X, Y, and Z. They can play straight across the board. Cole Beasley cannot do that. So I don't see him coming back.
Also with Beasley, it'd be insane because you traded Amari Cooper or a 5th-round pick or a late-round pick and cited one of the reasons was accountability and availability because he wouldn't get the vaccine shot. And then bringing Cole Beasley, who's like the poster child for just like insane vaccine takes. Like, it just doesn't add up as to, like, you can't trade Amari Cooper, cite that, and then not have receiver depth and sign somebody else who had the same issue that you cited with Amari Cooper.
So for me, the only free agent besides Odell would be Will Fuller for me. They need a burner. He would bring that. But again, availability. You just said, is he ever available? He missed last year with like a pinky injury.
He was available on that frightful night, 2015, October 31st, Halloween.
I was there.
The safety on Temple was supposed to be over there in the corner of the end zone, and they told him to do it, and they told him Deshaun Kaiser was going to throw it there to Will Fuller, and he did, and the safety wasn't there, and the game would have been over. Oh, my God. I can only imagine Will Fuller being a Cowboy and doing this same exact thing to me as an Eagles fan.
In the same spot.
I am just in a constant haunted house over here.
I was in the building. No big deal for that game. Phenomenal game.
That's hilarious. We didn't know each other then. We were both in the building.
We did not.
Kind of
funny. So, trade options are possibly out there. Maybe Denzel Mims from the Jets is a possibility. Preston Williams down in Miami who wants out. I would absolutely be all over Tyler Lockett if they would let him go from Seattle. Yes. I don't see why they would. He has a very team-friendly deal. But I just don't see Seattle letting him go. I don't see really the reason that they would. But if he would be available on the market, he would be the guy I would target big time.
Shout out Jeff Cobb for answering your question on Tyler Lockett. Yes. And I agree that would be a great signing for the Cowboys, or a great trade for the Cowboys if they can pull that off. Another team that I'd like to see just get in the mix on a guy like Odell or Tyler Lockett is the Packers. I know that's random, but it just feels like those two would fit there and would make a ton of sense. But
it would be. It would be. So we'll see. I mean, this saga is going to continue. It's just going to keep continuing. And the other sort of thing that's pretty funny is talking about playing Pollard in the slot. And, he played receiver in college along with running back. And then Jerry Jones comes out and said, no, don't really see any of that really happening. He's pretty much just playing running back, and that's all he's doing. But then Kellen Moore came out and said, "Oh yeah." Kellen Moore came out the next day and goes, "Yeah, no, he played a lot of receiver in college. He's got great hands, and we've been lining him up in receiver in camp."
There's no organizational structure within that organization. That is the issue. It's that nobody is on the same page ever at all times. I'm not. I said that in a complaining tone, but it obviously benefits me quite a bit.
Jerry needs to just
give the.
I think we've said this before.
Doesn't he have a yacht that he could sail around in?
Oh my God, yeah.
The French coast, like Dan Snyder.
Yeah, who says he can't get Wi-Fi on his $1 billion yacht, so he can't zoom into the press conference.
That is awesome. If you're gonna be a scumbag, be the absolute biggest scumbag that you could ever be.
Nope, can't get Wi-Fi on my $1 billion boat.
He's like an evil villain, but like almost like a spoof of an evil villain.
Yep. That's like Dennis Ross too from the Dolphins. He's just like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'm not going to be there for the first 6 weeks. I'll just be at my yacht parked outside of the stadium watching the game."
Yeah. So the Tom Brady thing was actually true.
Yeah,
that's wild. I don't think we've realized like how wild of a story that would be, especially if they pulled that off.
Insane.
That would be one of the greatest 30 for 30s of all time.
Oh my God! Oh God! Yes,
it still could be. The fact that that happened.
I'm sure it will be. And then Sean Payton was brought into that too, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah. At least they got Tyreek Hill.
I can't wait. I'm actually excited to watch the Dolphins play some football this year. I hope they are pretty good.
Jalen Waddle's on my fantasy guys list. I said that now. I realize some of my friends listen to this who I'm in a league with. So just skip over the 20-minute mark here, fellas.
Yeah, don't listen. Don't listen to that at all. So we'll see what the Cowboys do at receiver. My last thing that I'm really going to touch on here is my concern besides receiver is the offensive line. Apparently they've been getting pushed around. The defense has been looking great at camp. So the only guy that apparently hasn't been getting worked really has been Tyler Smith. Everybody says how strong he is. Everybody says that he's an animal. Every guy on the defensive line says if he gets his hands on you, you're not getting away. There's been plays where even Zach Martin has been on his ass. No, not best shape of his life. He's just a good football player that no one fucking knew about. Did you know anything about him until draft night?
I saw.
I answer the question.
Yes, there was one thing that I knew. I saw one thing. I read up on him, and there's one thing that I knew.
What, that he had holding penalties?
No,
or that he played at Tulsa? Okay. Where did you read that he sucked?
Wait, didn't you tell me that?
Yeah, I didn't tell you that he sucked. I said it wasn't the pick I wanted, but now it is what it is. And he looks good, so I'm okay with it. He's playing guard, and he's learning next to Tyron Smith.
Well, it is good that they flipped him inside. I think he'll excel there. And I have this thought about the Eagles too, and it's probably true for the Cowboys. Like, when you're playing the same team every day like you are in training camp, where it's just inter-squad scrimmages, when your defense is really good, it can make your offense just look bad, and you don't know if it's like because the offense is bad or is the defense good. I feel like the Cowboys might be in one of those situations where it's like they've got some great players on the defense who cause havoc. Like, nobody's going to be able to block Micah Parsons in the entire league.
Yep. No. Or, even they're saying Dorrance Armstrong looks good against Tyron Smith, which scares me a little bit. And Terrence Steele's been giving up stuff to Marcus Lawrence. But like we said, the defense is definitely going to be the focal point of this team.
Yeah. So, it's like Tank Lawrence is good. Like he beats everybody in the league sometimes. Yeah. So it's like, is your offensive line bad, or are these guys just playing well? So
we'll see. I mean, those are my concerns. Also, Dak Prescott apparently had one bad practice yesterday. Everyone's losing their mind. Like, guys, listen, it's one bad practice. It's okay. He looked apparently everyone said he had the best practice of his life the day before, and everyone was saying how amazing he's going to be. And then he missed like 6 throws total, and they're like, oh God, trade him.
Remember last year when he hurt his shoulder and it was pretty much like Armageddon?
Yes. During camp, and they're like, we're just going to shut him down for a couple days.
It did not help that Hard Knocks started and then he hurt his shoulder. That was just very ill-timed.
When does Hard Knocks start? I don't even know anymore.
I think it's this next week.
And who are they with?
The Lions.
Ah, yes, that's right.
I want to watch, but at the same time, I don't want to watch because I'll be like, you know what? I like this team. And then I'll be like, who do they play week 1? I don't want them to win. And I'm like, oh, wait, they play the Eagles.
Yeah, fuck them.
Like, never mind. So I don't want to fall in love with guys on the team and then have to immediately root against them.
Yes, and then want them to break in half.
I feel like this is people are Hard Knocks on their last chance, right? Like in most people's mind.
Yep, it's been not good for like 6 years.
I feel like they have to recognize that though. Like HBO puts out the premier content and everything that they do, including with sports programs like this. So I feel like they have to know, like, step it up a notch. I don't know what they do to change it, but I feel like they at least are aware of that.
It used to be so good. It was so good back in the day.
Do you remember the one where Chad Ochocinco, like they cut him and it was on Hard Knocks?
Yes.
That was wild.
Like that's the stuff they need.
Yeah, that was more wild than any like TV or movie ending at some point. So you're watching this guy's life get ruined live. All right, what's this? We'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you. Dan Campbell on the identity of the Lions.
Well, weren't they supposed to bite kneecaps last year too? How'd that work out?
Yeah, was that something he said in his Hard Knocks preview or something like that?
Isn't Jared Goff still there, right? So
he is. Until Bryce Young is.
Mm-hmm. So
or Caleb, because can Caleb Williams come out of the draft next year? Or does he have to stay another year?
No, I think
he's a true freshman. I think he was on Oklahoma's campus when he was 17. It's only been a year.
Now he's making millions.
I love that kid though. I want him on the Eagles so bad. He's gonna be so good.
I loved him until he went to USC. Fuck USC.
I know. Oh yeah, I hated that too. USC is going to be just the easiest team in the world to hate.
Oh, and I hope they're just terrible for some. I hope they implode.
I could see that happening. I mean, it's really hard to shapeshift a program in 1 year. Even I mean, they did bring in some talent: Jordan Addison, Caleb Williams. That's your NCAA talk minute. But yeah,
I
do love Caleb Williams. That kid's gonna be awesome.
He's a beast. I just love that he stole Spencer Rattler's job too, because I hate Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, now he's at South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. He's a Gamecock.
Go Cox, baby.
He's gonna get buried in the SEC.
Oh man, yeah. South Carolina, they're all right. Like, I think that's fitting for him.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Let's shift from Oxnard, California to the Novacara complex in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is about the same. Everybody's freaking out over every sports take possible, and we're kind of here at it again. Every practice is super analyzed. I love that people keep track of the stats in training camp. It's like, I don't know why that's so funny to me.
Don't people realize that like they're trying stuff out just to see if it works or doesn't work? Yeah,
and it's like sometimes learning the plays and like going through your playbook isn't exactly being crisp in execution. Obviously, you want to be crisp in everything that you do, but like you said, it's like trying things out, knowing where to be, having your timing down. So I always find it funny that we does any other city like keep track of completions in a training camp practice? I don't know. We are lunatics.
I hope not.
It's so funny. Oh, never change, but also maybe change a little bit. Maybe just a little. So I think there's two big things coming out of training camp, at least this week. There's not a huge amount going on with us, and really three if I could tie all of them together. I think the biggest storyline, and Vince, you can pull up this tweet. I sent it to Birds vs. Boys in regards to Jalen Hurts, who we knew was going to be a storyline this entire time. So Zach Berman was at training camp, and he said of Hurts camp, quote, "It hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been spectacular. If you're expecting Jalen Hurts to come back this year and look like a completely different QB, that hasn't happened. But I would say overall, he's been better than last summer." So I think this is people's fear in Philadelphia is like, okay, he's not a bad quarterback. And then at the end of the year, when we're like 10-6 again, or 9-8, or whatever it is, 10-7, 9-8, and you're like, wait, we had all that talent. What went wrong? Jalen Hurts was pretty good. And you're like, oh, he was pretty good.
He was not Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
Correct. And you're like, oh, well, he's not bad, and we don't have a better option, but he wasn't good. I feel like that is the trajectory that people are worried about. Quotes like that kind of feed into that. So we'll see. Again, training camp, I can't read into it too much. I just can't get myself excited over training camp incompletions and completions. So we'll see how that goes. But I think this will be This won't be a training camp story. I think it's going to be a week-to-week story. Like, he looked good against the Vikings, and he looked bad against the Commanders. Like, but he's not bad. He's just not good. And I do think A.J. Brown in this offense, this is going to be the easiest, simplest, least hot take that I've ever had, is just going to help this offense so much in terms of not being this ground and pound, triple option Army team. He's been an absolute beast. Just the pictures of him. I just look at the pictures of him at training camp, and I'm like, you know what? This guy looks awesome. The visor, the just physical strength that he has. I'm just like, this guy's incredible.
And I think it's going to go week by week whether he has that Hurts season hat on or not.
Yeah, everybody loved that one.
That's I mean, hey, your superstar wide receiver that you just traded for, if he's rooting for the quarterback that hard,
you want him to be all in. We talked about like Anthony Barr wanting to come to the Cowboys because he'd be in Dan Quinn's system. You want people to want to play with a system that involves Jalen Hurts. That's the first endorsement that you can get. So yeah, I think it'll be an interesting story going forward. It's going to continue to be a story for this entire season, especially we're rattling off names of quarterbacks who are awesome in college football right now. So I think that's the storyline this week. It's also the biggest concern this week, and we'll move forward from there. I think, speaking of he's here and he's perfect, A.J. Brown, the other guy who's making headlines, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is exactly what we expected, was Jordan Davis. So he's just enormous and obliterating people and just too strong for a lot of people to handle on the defensive line and just crushing the offensive line. And
he's been
not
running
only
with the
that,
ones, correct?
What's that?
He's been running with the ones, I hear.
Yeah, and they're doing exactly what we set out to do, which was rotate through. You got Jordan Davis, you got Fletcher Cox, you got Javon Hargrave. We were flipping schemes. We're going 4-3 to 3-4, and just we have so much depth in that defensive line. I hope no one gets hurt there. Knock on wood, so I don't ruin this, just like we did with James Washington. But this has serious potential in the defensive line.
Yeah, they're going to be a problem.
I can't wait, and just him not only being good at football, but also just being a character, just being funny, being able to sing, like having that voice and just being this outgoing guy. I really think he's going to be a star here in Philadelphia. And I wanted this so bad. And for this to be playing out the way it is, I need him to be good in the worst way.
Yes, you do. Of anybody.
Yes. This is like the breakup. Like it's the last piece of getting over the breakup is like, I can finally get over Carson Wentz if I have a new heartthrob, and my new heartthrob is Jordan Davis. So I need him to be bad in the worst way for my healing process.
And he's bigger and stronger than Carson.
Yes.
Real quick question for you that I didn't bring up during the Cowboy segment, but it kind of relates to both here. And speaking of Jalen's, so I saw a proposed trade on the interwebs for the Eagles to trade Jalen Hurts to the Cowboys, Jalen Reagor to the Cowboys for a 5th-round pick. And I'm like, how the Cowboys traded Amari Cooper for a 5th-round pick? You think they're going to then trade?
Yeah, use that 5th-round pick and get a Reagor.
If that happened, I would lose my goddamn mind.
Well, I didn't write this down as part of our outline of things to talk about tonight, but I guess another storyline that this is like I want to talk about the Deshaun Watson thing in a totally different light, but I don't want to talk about Jalen Reagor. Like, I'm sure it's like a mental struggle for people to be criticizing you this much. Just go on TikTok, man. Just stop going on Twitter. Just stop commenting on Twitter things. Just stop.
Yep. Just
stop going on Instagram. Stop posting subtweets and captions that have like hidden meanings. Just stop. It's gotta stop. And things are going to go wrong. And apparently the day after, John Clark was tweeting things about him that were positive. And he had big catches and he had touchdown catches in practice. So it's just like, just ignore these things that go wrong, because every time a bad tweet pops up, you're the first one to comment on it.
And you're just magnifying it.
Yes, exactly. Like, you are only exposing your own mistakes by doing this. You gotta stay dark and like, you can be on Twitter and you can be on all these social media apps, but he's just struggling. He is struggling, and I just don't know if he makes this team.
Well, I hope he doesn't get traded to Dallas for a fifth.
Yeah, I was about to say he's one of those guys who's going to get traded late in camp, where we go through a few preseason games, and you're like, okay, who has a chance elsewhere to make a team, but it's not going to be here. And I feel like Reagor's definitely leaning that way.
He's going to go to like New England for like a 7th, and then he's going to.
What do we say on this show? Cut the losers or trade them for late round picks.
Yep. Cut the losers.
The Phillies literally cut the losers yesterday, and I almost texted you. And I know you don't care about the Phillies at all. I was like, well, this is perfect. Like the vibes are incredible now because you just cut the people who are losers. Like this is so simple. Running a team is not hard. Just draft people who obliterate people at Georgia and cut losers.
And hasn't Nick batted like 373 since the whole I lost my hearing thing?
He had a 2-run home run today.
Yeah, he's on a tear.
I started that petition. Every time I start a petition, good things happen.
That's what happens. That's what happens. You got anything left from NovaCare Complex?
No, shout out to Devin though. She's on WIP now.
Yes,
on this show. That reminded me. She tweeted out the petition. We got to bring her on here.
Yes, she'll come on. Yeah, WIP now, right?
WIP, yeah.
Not bad.
A few of them on the show.
Not bad at all.
But no, I don't have anything left from the NovaCare Complex. By the time we get to do this, we'll be talking about NFL preseason football. The problem is for the Eagles, I don't think anyone's going to play. They're not really playing in training camp either. You can foresee what the storyline is going to be if they lose week 1. Oh, they don't practice hard enough. They don't put the pads on enough. But then, like, when your receiver gets a Jones fracture, like, that's the trade-off. It's either you practice hard and guys could get hurt, or you don't practice hard and guys stay healthy.
That was just freak. That was a freak thing that.
Yeah, Jones fractures are weird. It's not like,
I don't know if you saw it too. It was like, it was just a deep ball in the end zone, and Diggs kind of just fell on him.
Yeah,
it looked like he rolled it, but
that's the trade-off. Like, you could have a guy roll up on you, and a guy could fall on you if you're practicing hard in pads, or you could stay clean, but at the same time, then you might not stay crisp. It's this trade-off that I think every NFL team's going through it in 2022. Yep.
That's why today they did a mock game, which was a walkthrough.
Mock games are the best, though.
Yeah.
That was the best when you played sports.
Some guys had helmets on. Some guys had hats on. It was pretty funny. It's funny.
They all hate that hat thing that they have to do now.
Oh, no. I mean, like an actual, like
actual, like, baseball cap. Yeah.
Those helmet things look a little strange, but hey, if it keeps guys healthy,
it saves you from CTE, I guess it's fine.
Just wait till that's a real thing during games.
Oh, people are gonna freak out.
Oh
man, that'll be a political debate by the end of it.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, I can't wait for that day. Oh man, as long as I'm seeing touchdown passes, I don't care what they're wearing.
Exactly. All right. Well, speaking of the end, before we get to that, let's bring Vince in here, so we can hit our TikTok. Look at this, Vincent. Look how happy are you right now with this time frame of this episode?
It's good. 37. Proud of
it. It's so easy to stay organized and disciplined when they're actually playing football.
Yes.
Yep. It's great to be back. I can't wait till they're actually playing football and we can talk about things that, real football games. We think this is easy.
Just you wait.
All
right, let's do this.
All right. So we are back better than ever. Season 3 power rankings. Here we go. TikTok. We are doing our preseason top 5 power rankings in the NFL. Normal triangle as is. I will start at 5. I've got the Ravens. Nobody had more injuries than the Ravens last year. They lost 2 running backs before the season even started. And then Lamar got hurt as well. And even then they were in games. They lost multiple games on going forward on 2-point conversions at the end of games. So they still could have made the playoffs. And they were the 1 seed about halfway through the season. And Lamar was an MVP candidate. 5, I got the Ravens.
5, I have the Chargers. I want to put them higher. I just can't yet because, well, they're the Chargers. I think they're unbelievably talented. Justin Herbert is just another year into the NFL. If they stay healthy, Derwin James is an absolute beast. Austin Eckler. I think they have a chance to do something special this year. Like I said, I would like to have them higher, but, Chargers going to Charger. So I'm going to have them just on the cusp of the 5.
I think me and Aidan just realized the same thing at the same time.
What? I don't have the Chargers.
Yeah. He's Derrick Henry, the Chargers.
They're on the cusp. I love them, but they're,
You know what they are? They're 6.
They're 6. It's good to be back.
We're all the way back.
All right. Speaking of being back, I'm going to start at 32. I
There you
have
go.
the Las Vegas Raiders, Fraud City Raiders. They can't even order an Uber right. Did you see that today?
No.
Hunter Renfro ordered them an Uber. He got him like a Honda Civic, and like meanwhile Devontae Adams, Derek Carr, and like all these football players are sitting in the back with their knees up to their chins. Like, you can't even order an Uber right. You're supposed to win the AFC West? I don't think so.
Fair enough.
Well, I don't know if they're winning the NFC West as it is. If they were,
I can tell you, they're not.
they're not. Yeah, okay, fair enough. At 4, I have the Bucks because if you're betting against Tom Brady to have a bad team, it's just not how life works, and that's it.
4 for me, it's also the Bucks. I think Julio is just going to be a nice addition for their team. Ryan Jensen going down, probably not going to be there the whole season. It is going to hurt at center for the Bucks, but you do have the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL who can just call the signals out anyway, so it's fine.
At 4, I have the Browns without Deshaun Watson. They do have the best paper, and on paper they have the best roster in the NFL. So if this feels like the kind of thing where if they can get a passable quarterback play from Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo, somebody for the first 10 weeks of the season, they rally around him. Deshaun comes back. Like, do we even need to put him in? And they win the division, make it to the playoffs without Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson plays, I don't want them on my list.
The vibes ruins the vibes. That is
Ruins
the most
the vibes.
important thing in sports. At 3, I have the reigning Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. I think they'll be back in it again. They spend the money to make it happen. They've got pieces on defense and offense. Vince, did you forget about the Rams? I just, by that look, I think you did. Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, man. I'm not even going to finish my spiel. At 3, at least I have the Rams.
I was at a concert. Am I supposed to remember everything?
I'd remember who won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. 3 for me, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Travis Kelce. They may have lost Tyreek Hill, but they're going to figure it out. They're going to still have a good defense. That offensive line, Orlando Brown is signing his 1-year deal, is going to play. So the Chiefs are obviously going to still be top-notch in the NFL.
It's a lot of teams at 6 this week. Number 3, I have the Bucks. Tom Brady just turned 45. That's like the benchmark he wanted to hit. So he's going to be on like a fuck you tear this year. Like, he's not going to want to win in this age 45 season, which probably could be his last, but maybe not. Who knows?
Probably.
But who knows? Yeah. Maybe the Dolphins can get another swing at things.
Yeah.
All right, at 2, I have the Chiefs. I do think they take a step back losing Tyreek Hill. I think this boom of trading away star wide receivers could come back to haunt teams. I think it could come back to haunt the Chiefs. And I know it seems crazy because I have them at 2, but that's because of who I have at 1 when I say they're going to take a step back.
2 for me, it's the Super Bowl champion Rams. Allen Robinson apparently looks like a complete stud. Cooper Kupp, they showed his route running, his footwork is just unbelievable. They're probably going to end up re-signing Odell Beckham. Aaron Donald looks like an absolute monster, and this is the second year now that Matt Stafford is going to be in this system. They're going to be wheeling, they're going to be dealing. That's going to be their division to lose, I feel like, out in the NFC West. Yes, the Niners are going to be good this year. Seattle's going to stink, and Arizona is just going to be playing Call of Duty. So I have the Rams at 2.
At 2, I have the Super Bowl runner-up, Cincinnati Bengals. I think if you make it to the Super Bowl, you need to be on this list. So I had to put the Bengals somewhere on here. But the biggest reason they're on my list is that they are the second coolest team in the NFL, and there's no more important factor in sports than being cool. So that's why I have them at 2.
You made up for it with that stat right there.
Mm-hmm.
Being cool is important.
All iced out in white. They're going to be it's going to be so cool.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. All right. At 1, I have the Buffalo Bills. I really think this could be the year for the Bills. I genuinely hope it is for the fans. I think they're running back the same offense that they had last year where they have Stephon Diggs, but Gabe Davis took a next step. They've got Dawson Knox there again. They improved their backfield. They signed Von Miller. I know they're dealing with some injuries with the safeties there, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, but I still think they're going to be fine. I really think that they could take that step forward and beat the Bengals and the Chiefs in the AFC.
One for me, it's the Buffalo Bills for all the reasons Aidan just said. And you add the possibility that they may also get Odell Beckham at the end of the season, which pairing him with Stephon Diggs would be unbelievable. And I mean, is there does any team have a worse taste in their mouth besides maybe the Cowboys running the ball up the middle 13 seconds of the playoff game than the Bills, the way they lost last season in the playoff game to the Chiefs? I think they're going to be so hungry this season. They are going to be balls to the wall, just bulldozing teams at the same time of having fun. Like, they're a punch you in the mouth team, but they're also a fun team at the same time. And they're like everybody's favorite team if they're not playing your team. So I'm going Bills at 1.
So I don't have the Bills at 1, and I'll tell you why. It's not because I forgot. It's because there's a lot of talk out of the Bills camp about wanting to change things up, change up how they're running their offense. Don't do that. You were really awesome last year. Just do the same thing. Keep doing that. Like, you got unlucky the way you got like fucked out of the playoffs. Just do the same thing again. So
do it better.
Yeah. Being said, at number 1, I have the coolest team in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles. Find me a cooler NFL team than the Eagles. You can't do it. And as we already established, being cool is the most important thing you can have in the NFL.
That's what you call advanced analytics.
It's the growth mindset right there.
Exactly. It's the manifestation that's built different.
Yep. All right,
Vince,
Vincent, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Every time I looked at you, you had forgot another team. So
didn't forget. Had a reason.
Forget. You just they just weren't on your list for one reason.
6, 6, and 6.
6, 6, and 6.
Thank you, Vince.
There's 6. All right, that was fun.
That was fun. All right, well, by the next time we talk to each other on this podcast, real NFL football will have happened, Aidan, and we will be talking about our teams playing actual NFL. Well, I guess we could sort of say actual football. Football.
They will be on a football field, an NFL football field.
And then the Cowboys will be having joint practices with the Denver Broncos and those Chargers that I talked about earlier in the next coming weeks, which I'm excited about.
And I have my fantasy draft next week, so I think next week's show we'll talk a little fantasy as well.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to help me prepare for mine coming up on the 25th because I do have a child now. Don't have the time I had, and I have the 4th overall pick. So, I don't know. Thinking maybe Justin Jefferson if the running backs are around.
It's a solid strategy. I can't give too much away, but I'm high on him as well, and it'll be fun. We'll do draft prep here for the next few weeks. I think it's the perfect time of year. I love talking fantasy draft with everybody.
Perfect. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you have not yet, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe anywhere you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, because that's where we are. That's where you can listen to us. And follow us on Twitter at Birds vs. Boys Pod, as well as on TikTok and Instagram. We are everywhere. Tell your friends, tell your family. Birds vs. Boys is not just a podcast for Cowboys and Eagles fans. It's a podcast for everybody, for your moms, for your dads, for your friends, and for your neighbors, even your mailman. Leave them a message. Tell them about Birds vs. Boys. And we will be back next week talking more football. Grandmas too.